It's not piss, it's just controversial. I don't like mulled wine that much. So instead I like to mull cider, and I'm not a piss spoiler. There are some people who are new to this channel, would you believe it, after all these years, for whom piss spoiler is, trust me when I say it's established canon. 'Tis the season, I feel quite festive. I made my tree. 25 quid from IKEA. Are you kidding me? But we're all nice and cozy. I've got the smell of my mulled cider wafting around the flat. I've got my big old lumpy jumper on, and I realised it's time we had a proper catch-up. I did one of these Q&As a couple of years ago as a sort of like stock take of where we are, and I think now is the time for me to do another one. So I went to Instagram, I said ask me anything, and you did come through, and once again I found that a lot of the questions sort of covered similar topics, so I've split us up into chapters. Maybe I'll do that thing where you'd scroll across the bar and I don't know what it's called. I'm old. Thanks for asking. I'm doing all right. It comes and goes. The state of the world is dodgy, and that kind of gives me some reasons to panic now and again. Oh, and I do. But generally speaking, I'm actually quite good. I'm healthy, I've got lots of friends around me, and I live on my own in a flat in London, and that brings its own sort of panics, because I'm aware of the situation. Cost of living is this whole thing. I live on my own in a flat in London. It's expensive. But that kind of is what it is, and I have to be here for my career, but primarily I want to be here because this is the best city in the world. It's my home. I think if I went anywhere else, and sometimes I do go visit other places and I think about the idea of living there, and they're lovely, but it ain't London. This is my home now. A lot of you have asked me about what it's like to live alone, and it's interesting because I've lived in London 9.5 years now. In that time, I have moved a lot. Yes, there are stories there. No, I won't be telling you them, because then how will you be surprised when you see it in the episode of the television show I shall write about my life? But I've had, let's count them, Tom, Jack, Kieran, Kim, Dodie. Would we count Hazel? Kind of. Chloe, other Tom, Sammy, Edith, Stephen, and Jazz. 12. I've had a lot of roommates. But because of circumstances, I actually had practice living alone in the first lockdown, and that's when I realised I actually really like it. I like that it's my space. I like that I can do what I want. I like that I can watch whatever I want to on the TV. I like that every now and again there's just quiet in here. Like I just sit and look at my phone or read through a cookbook or have a cup of tea on the balcony, and it's just quiet and it's mine. And I've loved that since I was little. When I was little, my parents and my brother would go on like day trips, and I'd be like, no, I want to stay at home. I like my own company. I'm the best person I know. I think the only thing I miss is that like gentle social interaction where like you'll come home from work and they'll be there. How was your day? And I'm like, oh yeah, it was all right. Do you want to put the kettle on? And you'll pop the kettle on and you'll have a quick chat and you'll have a cup of tea and you'll go about and do your own thing. I think I miss that. But anyone who has had roommates will understand and agree that it can be really tricky, and finding the right chemistry and the right energy is difficult. It can be lovely, but I also just love that this is mine. I love my own space. I love that I can have people over, and I love it even more that I can make them go away. I mean, I recommend anyone try living on their own once in their life, if that's available to you. It might not be. But something I do find really fascinating is that probably the next time I live with someone, it will be a partner, and that's weird. It also brings us on nicely to... Listen, you lot are thirsty bitches, so I've got to talk about it. I have given Bridget Jones energy for a long time. Unlucky in love doesn't quite cover it, because to be unlucky in love, you have to have had experiences of love. That's not fair. I've had my dalliances, I've had my flings. For the most part, there's sort of been nothing doing. Until now. I am in a relationship, and it's very nice. She doesn't live in London, so we're not around each other very much, but it's quite new, and it's quite exciting, and she's very kind and very pretty, and I'm gonna leave it there. I think the way I like to think about it is that my relationship is mine, and I know I share a lot, and it's only natural that you'd be curious and you'd want to know, but I think in my head, it's personal, it's mine. I'm never gonna hide it, but I also don't need to shout about it. The way I like to describe it is that it's private, but not secret. There are some people for whom being very public about it really works, and great for them. There are other people for whom that goes badly, and I don't want that. Like, if we went on holiday, I'm not gonna like pretend I'm there on my own, but I'm also probably not gonna vlog me snogging a face off. Unless the cost of living really does go up, in which case, OnlyFans. But yeah, it's very nice. Also, it is fully hilarious that Bridget Jones begins with her saying, it all happened in my 32nd year of being single. And this year I turned 32 and finally got into a relationship. I literally am Bridget Jones. I don't know how this has happened. So tune in about 10 years when I get pregnant. I hate talking about my job because it's so indefinable. It's so many different things. It kind of doesn't really... I'm a professional narcissist, all right? I talk about my life on a camera and ask other people to like me. When I'm in the back of a cab, I will just tell people that I'm a bookseller. You know why? Because that doesn't invite further questions. Some people have asked me, like, do you consider yourself a YouTuber now? Which is a really interesting question, because I started doing this when that wasn't a job opportunity. Like, people didn't think, oh, I'm going to be a YouTuber when I grow up. People do that now. That's weird. It was a fun hobby. It was something to do. It was like you put these videos up and there's a community. It was very much that. All of the like going to somewhere in the city and building a following, that was never a plan. And like, I'm not gonna pretend that I didn't want it to grow. I do want it to grow. Do you know how pissed off I am that I haven't hit 100,000 subscribers yet? It's kind of my fault, but also, I just want a little plaque. Is that so much to ask? Not that you need it, not that I need the validation, but I do need the validation, and I think it would be quite nice. YouTube is really interesting because it's, especially now more than ever, push you towards having a niche. They want you to be a specific thing, they want you to make the same content over and over, and often it's content houses, it's groups of people. There are editors, there are multiple people making the channel. The channel is what you subscribe to, more so than the person, and I'm that kind of throwback. You subscribe to me because I'm me. The thing about that is, I have lots of niche interests, and some people, like when I talk about film, some people have no interest in me talking about film, they only want to see me bake. Some people don't like either of those things, and they wanted to watch my like monthly vlogs to get a slice of life as a YouTuber in London in 2015-16. And I think all of those are valid. It's just that, does the algorithm think all of those are valid? Do you know what I mean? So I want to find a kind of balance where, regardless of what I do, I'm shining through and everyone gets something, and that if it's something that you wouldn't necessarily have thought you might click on, you do click on it and then watch it. The idea I currently have, I'm not going to tell you about, because if I tell you, you'll be like, oh, that sounds great, and then I won't do it because I'll have had that itch scratched. I have been presenting loads over with the gang at Wrestle Talk. We've been doing our Cineworld show all year, and I was recently sat in the Raw Review podcast host seat, sort of keeping it warm until Pete took his place, and I loved it. Are you kidding me? As a lifelong wrestling fan, getting to sit down and talk about wrestling for an hour and get paid for it was a dream. I don't think any of them watch this, so I don't mind telling you that working with them has been the highlight of my year. I've had such a great time, and hopefully we can continue to do more in the new year. I don't know, we'll see. And then yeah, appearances, other things. I did a talk at a school with the BBC this year. That was quite nice. Something I've really enjoyed this year has been presenting, whether it's been the Wrestle Talk stuff, the Cineworld stuff, or the BAFTA job that I had at the start of the year. The BAFTA job was a watch party with myself, Clara Amfo, Ali Plum, and Bimini. These are actual people off the telly, what I've seen. And then there's little old me, and I was absolutely terrified all the way in, and I was kind of hoping the cab ride would never end, so that I'd never actually have to get there. And then the second we walked on set, and I was handed an earpiece, I felt like, oh no, I'm good at this. I'll do this well. That was really nice. I think I'm really good at it. I love being on camera, and I think I make people feel comfortable. So if that's people on a show, they're likely to open up to me. If it's an audience, they're likely to be more drawn into what I'm doing. So I have thought about going down that road again. I've tried to get a manager a lot. Nobody seems to want me. The line I regularly get is, we think you're really great, you're incredibly talented, you'll definitely make it, we just don't know what we would do for you. Surely one of you does. But we keep on trucking. I am still looking at doing a master's degree. I haven't lost sight of how much I want to be an actor. It just feels like it keeps eluding me, and the older I get, the more I wonder whether or not I should just kind of admit defeat. I just don't think I'm ready to yet. I've already given up a couple of dream jobs. When I was little, I really wanted to be a pop star, and I did try a couple of times. I tried to learn to play the guitar. I'm not very good at it. I auditioned for certain shows, didn't get through. Then I got too old, put that dream to bed. Also, I wanted to be a wrestler, but I don't think that was ever gonna happen. And I'm not ready to give up on the acting dream yet. I would like to audition this year. I do feel massively underprepared, but I'm starting to wonder whether or not I will ever feel prepared. In my head, I'm looking at the Royal Welsh College of Music and Drama, and I'm looking at Mount View. I would like to do a musical theatre degree. I don't know if my voice is strong enough. I have never had lessons, so maybe if I have a few lessons and get really ready for the audition, I can nail it and give it a go. I think I owe it to Little Dan to try. I have looked at Yale, which is the American drama school where Meryl Streep and Lupita Nyong'o went. It's a 3-year course. It would be incredible. They also don't charge tuition there at the moment, so all I need to do is be able to pay to live, which I might be able to do. That is incredibly unlikely, but wouldn't it be cool? I'm usually quite shy about saying stuff like this, but I think I'm really good. I just think with the right break, who knows what could happen. I just haven't had it yet. Some people don't start their careers until later on, and I know I'm only 32, which is young, but also old. It's a whole thing. The industry is very youth-centric, and there are Gen Zs who have no idea. They're like, 32? And you know what? I get it, because I did the same thing. But maybe if I go to school, and I train, and I'm in front of the right eyes, who knows what could happen. Lots of people ask me about gender. It's kind of interesting because I've spoken about it in fits and starts on my Instagram especially. And I did make a video on this channel talking about being the way I am while also being straight. And I have since unlisted it because I don't know that it 100% reflects how I feel now. What was interesting was that two questions were like diametrically opposite. Someone asked, do you count yourself as a member of the LGBT community nowadays, and how do you identify? And someone else asked, how do you feel about it being public that you're queer? That's kind of interesting because I don't think I've put any specific label on it. And the reason I haven't put labels on it is because, for me, I find labels quite restrictive. When we talk about pronouns, for instance, a lot of people find pronouns to be incredibly illuminating, and they feel seen and they feel understood, and they take ownership of their life through their pronouns. I find the push for everybody to tell exactly what their pronouns are to be incredibly restrictive. In my experience of life, I didn't fit any one particular box. And there's something about the confusion that I actually enjoy and also find frustrating. It's a weird combination of things. I also know that there are people for whom these labels are incredibly important, and that's another reason that I'm hesitant to go near any of them and to really explore that conversation, because these things don't matter to me that much, so I'm quite happy to be flippant and to say things to shock people and to have a little fun with it and to be frivolous and to be silly. But that can be difficult for some people to take in, and I respect that, I get that, but also that's my journey, that's who I am. I have flirted with the idea of the word queer because it's the only one that I really feel in any way captures the multitudes within me, because it is so vague. Are you queer because of your gender identity or your presentation? Are you queer because of your sexuality? Which one is it? It could be any of them, it could be all of them, it could be none of them. Probably isn't none of them. I've always made a little joke out of it. I define myself as straight enough, insofar as, like, predominantly I am attracted to women. But men are kind of hot sometimes, and I would like to do that. When I look back on it, I was in a relationship right the way through uni, and I do wonder, there was a boy at uni in my class who when I look back on it, kind of fancied. And I wonder, had I been single, whether or not that's something that I would shake. Whether he fancied me or not, I don't know. But it wasn't something that I would have explored or wanted to explore because I was in a relationship and I was happy. Also, watching Heartstopper was interesting because I found a lot of similarities to my life when I was younger. But when you are told that you are gay and it's a bad thing, and you haven't even really looked at your sexuality, you're really confused about that. So when you get a little bit older and you start actually developing sexual urges for other boys, which is gay, which you've been told is a bad thing, that's a head fuck, so you smash it the fuck down and you reject it. I never rejected who I was and my personality. I always chased the things in life that made me happy, and I don't think that the things that we follow in life are the things that define us, or rather are indicators of our sexuality or anything like that. You can be gay as Christmas as Selfridges and love wrestling. You can be as straight as a ruler and like to paint your nails and wear makeup. Like, I don't know, there shouldn't be this restriction, there shouldn't be these labels, and the labels for me exist for other people to know how to respond to me. And the reason I like to reject them is that I want to challenge people to look beyond what they expect and just see me. Is he queer? Is he straight? Is he... he's just Dan. That's what I'm trying to say. Maybe I'll talk about this more on another occasion. I think it's a longer video, I think it's a longer conversation, but I also don't think I would want it to be a monologue. I think I would like it to be a conversation. How that comes about, I don't know. But it's interesting. I like where I'm at, and I like that it continues to evolve. It's quite nice, actually. That's me done. My legs have gone numb, so I should probably go for a walk. Thanks so much for watching. Thank you for being here. Thank you for an exciting 2022. Couple more videos before the end of the year, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing you on the other side. Be well, look after yourselves and each other. I'm stealing that from Jerry Springer. That is mine now.